Well, Tesla had a lot of good news today. 2 price target upgrades and a lot of very bullish commentary among other things. Why did Tesla have a pretty poor day today? I will explain that here in this video as we dig through more of the rubbish to try to figure this out. I think I found it. Now, to some extent, I think Wall Street is ignoring the good news and focusing on this next set of news, which sounds like something I wouldn't be concerned with even in the slightest bit. But hey, that's why we have sometimes inefficient markets that do these kind of things that we can learn from and take advantage of and really take the chicken by the neck, if you will, and make some tendies. Okay, I was not expecting that to be as graphically sounding as it came out, but you get the message. I think the big bad wolf today for Tesla is this. Uber and Lyft are gearing up for the driverless revolution. Now, it's actually fascinating. Let me just read this part of this article to you. From the Wall Street Journal today, it says, after ending their own driverless plans, the ride-sharing companies are embracing autonomous vehicle operators and offering new app features. Uber Technologies and Lyft gave up on big plans to develop their own driverless taxis years ago. Now they are revamping their business to accommodate competitors who may have figured it out. The ride-hailing leaders are preparing to bring driverless taxis to your door with new app features that allow customers to use their phones to open trunks and honk horns. They are building infrastructure to maintain the high-tech taxis and training human support staff to handle riders without drivers. Both companies will have driverless cars from Alphabet's Waymo and others on their apps this year. In the coming months, riders in Austin, Texas and Atlanta will be able to hail a Waymo through the Uber app. Lyft plans to offer May Mobility's driverless taxis in Atlanta. This next part, Uber and Lyft have agreed to maintain these driverless fleets. They are finding locations to store the cars, equipping them with chargers and high-speed internet, and training workers to maintain the cameras, LiDAR, and other gadgets that driverless vehicles depend on. Quote, this level of nitty-gritty, it takes years to build, said Andrew McDonald, Uber's senior vice president of mobility. It's not something you can do by flipping a switch. The ride-hailing giants are reacting to growing signs that driverless technology may finally be ready to spread beyond a few experimental markets. Now, clearly, this is nothing to be concerned with if you are an investor in Tesla, a long-term investor. Like, really? This sounds laughable, right? Because it is. But it's making the algorithms, it's making some maybe less educated institutional investors nervous that Uber and Lyft have a combined over 160 million monthly active users. The number's actually closer to 175 million monthly active users, and they are literally going to take, I wouldn't say control of these Waymo vehicles, but they are going to basically be the custodial holders of these vehicles. They're gonna have the locations for these vehicles. They're gonna have the chargers for these vehicles. They're gonna basically be like almost owning these vehicles and putting them onto the Uber platform. The laughable part here is Waymo only has like 700 vehicles out on roads today. Okay, might sound like a huge number if you are an uneducated Wall Street guy, but that is a drop in the literal bucket compared to the amount of vehicles Tesla will be able to roll out. And that has always been Tesla's strength with robotaxi endeavors and full self-driving. It's every car that Tesla builds has the ability to become a robotaxi. It is essentially turning millions of cars in America overnight into robotaxi operational vehicles. Okay, that is the ability of Tesla. That is the beautiful part of Tesla, and Tesla's software does not need mapping Okay, so Tesla could theoretically launch with regulatory approval in any city in America they wanted to. But some on Wall Street may be looking at this as a threat to Tesla's robotaxi endeavors. Now, Tesla is really not down that much today. I mean, it was down plus or minus about 2%, okay? It's not like the dagger in the coffin for Tesla's AI endeavors. If that was the case, Tesla would be down like 40% today, right? It's not that extreme. But that seems to be an area of concern today from Wall Street. It's a little bit of uncertainty whether Tesla will partner with Uber, whether Uber and Waymo are going to sustain this partnership when Uber's real strength is they have 155 million monthly active users. That is kind of the nerve-wracking part to Wall Street today. Ultimately, I think Tesla is going to partner with Uber. Of course, Tesla is going to have its own kind of platform, okay, like Waymo does. Waymo has an app that you can download and get Waymo rides, right, in specific areas. But Waymo is also partnered with Uber to, for Uber users exclusively, where they can click, okay, I want to go in a Waymo, and they click for the Waymo, and when one becomes available, you can take the ride through the Uber app in a Waymo vehicle. That will be the same for Tesla. Tesla will partner with Uber at some point. Why? Not because they need to, but because it's beneficial to do so. With 155 million monthly active users, it takes a lot to get 150 plus million people to sign up for the Tesla Robotaxi network, or really to sign up to anything, okay? There's going to be a couple million people likely that sign up right away for Tesla's Robotaxi network. Once that app becomes available, people are going to download it. A couple million people. But the mass market, it's already with Uber. And that's why there will likely be a partnership. Now, with this emotional setback that Wall Street is seeing this today for Tesla, Uber is actually up 3% on the day today. And that's one of the reasons I can sit here and say this probably is the main reason why Tesla is down today or in the red today, considering we actually had quite a bit of positive news. Again, just take a listen to this. This was huge news today. Stifel raised their Tesla price target to $492 per share from $411 per share. It was the commentary of these two analyst notes today that really stuck out to me. Or stood out to me. It says, quote, "We believe Tesla is very well positioned to deliver robust multi-year growth in 2025 through 2027 and beyond." That sounds great. In the near term, the revamped Model 3 and upcoming Model Y refresh could bolster sales. That sounds great. Followed by the commencement of a lower-priced vehicle, Model 2 production, that likely garners very strong demand. That sounds very good. We also believe Tesla's AI-based full self-driving initiative has the potential to generate significant value through both sales of FSD, possible licensing agreements, and as critical part of longer-term cybercab robotaxi initiatives. That sounds freaking fantastic. It seems like Wall Street's starting to finally catch on, at least in some firms. The other big news today was New Street Research that upgraded its Tesla rating to buy from neutral with a $460 price target. And check this note out. They say, quote, "The company's growth in autos should reaccelerate with the launch of lower cost models and its gross margin stabilizing as Tesla reduces cost as fast as possible." That sounds great. Meanwhile, New Street says Tesla's full self-driving progress is accelerating. That sounds great, which strengthens the view that the company could launch a partially unsupervised version and robotaxi test fleet this year. That sounds great. While the road is, quote, "still long and arduous towards scale deployments, the stock price will further reflect the opportunity." Not going to argue with that. New Street sees, quote, "significant long-term upside to a $4.7 trillion market cap in 2030 if Tesla moves the full self-driving opportunity towards a dominant fleet of robotaxis. It views the risk-reward of owning the stock as positive." What's there not to like there as well? Also in the news today, has nothing to do with Tesla. I just really want to share this with you and to get your opinion. Apparently, Costco plans to build apartments above its stores starting early this year. Like, immediately. Look at the concept of this. I mean, it looks pretty good. Let me know what you guys think about this. Would you live in a Costco apartment? Now, getting back to Tesla, of course, of which this video is about, the only other thing that seems to be even remotely challenging Tesla stock today seems to be Nvidia. Now, Nvidia for most of the day today was up about 5%. It seems like it'll close up over 3%. And I've explained this in the past when it was more obvious, but it seems to be obvious again today. And what I'm about to explain happened a lot last year, where Tesla and Nvidia, they tend to like inverse each other. Not too often, it seems like, Nvidia and Tesla have really good days the same day. Now, is that impossible to happen? Of course not. But here's the dilemma. Tesla is sometimes number one in option activity for any single stock. Nvidia is sometimes number one for option activity on any given day for a single stock, okay? So on days where Nvidia is number one, Tesla's number two. On days where Tesla's number one, Nvidia is number two, okay? They both tend to be in top one or top two spots on any given day. So it seems like some of the trading activity kind of flip-flops between Nvidia and then to Tesla, and then from Tesla back to Nvidia. Now, the news that we got out last night was Foxconn earnings, and that really sent the whole semiconductor industry higher today. And that seems to have dampened down some of the trading enthusiasm around Tesla. Mix that with news that Uber is going to operationally control some Waymo vehicles, and that seems to be the cocktail for a slightly depressed day for Tesla stock. Now, I want to be very clear. Today changes nothing about my thesis for Tesla in 2025. In fact, the good news today, I think, far outpaces some of the nervousness that Wall Street is experiencing. I actually think that the news we've covered here in this video means absolutely for nothing Tesla long term, right? It's not even worth considering as a risk factor at this point, given the structural challenges that Waymo will see if they try to compete with Tesla. They can't map the roads fast enough. Okay, Uber is the one that's really panicked, if you want to know the truth, because, I mean, if Tesla is able to launch the robotaxi network as fast as it seems like they could be able to, with, again, the software that does not need to map the roads, that is an existential problem for Uber. Now, this red day today also does not change my thoughts around even January, okay? We did get some weird news today that the Trump administration is considering blanket tariffs. As I've talked about in previous videos, that would actually most likely be positive, like a 10% blanket tariff on everyone. I mean, we kind of got preconditioned for like 100% tariffs on China and higher tariffs on more critically important things. But a blanket tariff like that on a small scale could actually be a big positive for markets because it could be better than expected. And I've gave you guys weird analogies of this all the time, dentist analogies, like medical analogies, right? If you go to the doctor and you think you're going to be hospitalized because you got pneumonia and you're very sick and maybe you've had it before, right? 2018 Trump trade war, kind of a great analogy of that. You go to the doctor and you're thinking about the worst case scenario, and they tell you, oh yeah, you just have a sinus infection and a bit of a chest cold. You're down and out, man, but you're not hospitalized. You're going to be pretty excited about that, right? It's still bad. You still don't feel good, but it's better than you thought it could have been. And that's kind of the setup that I think we have heading into January 20th, specifically around tariffs after Trump gets inaugurated. So I think even from that perspective, I'm not super concerned about some kind of inauguration crash here. As long as earnings go well, as long as the economy does not crash or inflation does not spike something crazy again, I think January could be a good month. I actually think Q1 could be a decent quarter for markets, considering there is still so much fear out there. If you look at the percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average, it's only at 40%. So 60% of stocks are still in an active decline. That's not good, right? That's a very weak level. And when you're at these low levels, you always want to buy the dip if you're in a bull market. Same is true with the AI Investor Sentiment Survey, hitting a multi-month low for bullish investors, only at 35.4%, below the historical average of 37.5%. Very rarely have you gotten below 37.5% in the last couple of years. Like that, this is a super low number that we are at right now. Mix that with CNN's Fear and Greed Index, which today is coming in at 37, almost in the midpoint of fear. Like, there's quite a bit of room here for things to get better in markets versus get worse. Now, if we were in greed or something like that, then I would say maybe, we could have a larger pullback here, and we still could have a larger pullback. Like, something could happen, okay? I'm not saying it's impossible for markets to fall. I'm saying the risk reward tells me I would rather be long here than be short here. Or if anything, I would just be in cash here. If I would not want to short this market, in other words. If you want to be in cash, you want to be in cash. That's whatever. Could you miss some upside? Of course. But definitely you wouldn't want to be short in this market, and definitely not short in Tesla stock. I think what a lot of people have forgotten is Trump is actually going to be very positive for Tesla, or at least that's what we think, okay? As long as nothing has changed there, which I don't think it has, deregulation should allow Tesla to grow faster, launch robotaxi networks faster and more inclusive than we otherwise would have seen. And it does appear that in the last couple of weeks, Wall Street's kind of forgotten about that. And I think maybe after January 20th inauguration, you could actually see some of that enthusiasm come back into Tesla stock. As Tesla sits now in the low 400s, I don't think you're obviously still pricing in good things, but I don't think you're pricing in much of the long-term success that robotaxis will have. We're kind of like looking out like 6 months right now. I think we could start to extend that time horizon as the reality actually comes that Trump's good for Tesla. There's going to be a lot of positive things happening this year. I'm still in 2024 mentality, but this year. And robotaxi is such a large endeavor with so much future growth that maybe we should pay up now for that, because the growth is going to be so large in the future. And that's really what I'm thinking about in a nutshell here, to why I'm still bullish in January and February. Now, again, the three big risks to 2025 have not changed. Let me explain them again. Extreme tariff policies from Trump, which would be like what was promised on the campaign trail, like 100% tariff on China or something. That would end the bull market. That would crash the economy. That would be terrible. Recession, blah, blah, blah. That would end the bull market. Okay, that would end the fun in Tesla or in really most parts of the market. The second big risk is if inflation were to ramp up again and the Fed needs to start talking about or actually doing rate hikes, okay? That would obviously end the bull market. That'd be bad news for Tesla. Or if the economy just weakens so much that a lot of recession fears come back and we ultimately enter into a recession. Those are the three big risks for 2025. Minus those things happening, I think we are still firmly in a bull market, and I think Tesla stock is going higher. When I sit back and think about these three things today, none of them happen. None of those three things, have me worried. There's actually a report out today from the Wall Street Journal that Trump has since walked back kick on a bit, that some of the more important areas that we get materials from China or just more important things are not going to be tariffed in this blanket tariff that Trump wants to do. Trump has obviously walked that back and said Wall Street Journal is lying, fake news, blah, blah, blah. I think there's probably some truth to that. I think Trump can only do tariffs to the extent that it does not crash the economy or the stock market. Okay. I don't think Trump wants to be the guy that ended the bull market, that came into office and crashed everything. Okay. That's not, I think, Trump's goal here. If that is Trump's goal, well, yeah, we have a long 4 years ahead of us. So nothing changed, and I like Tesla at these levels. Now, there's some people that have said Tesla needs to come back into, the 200s and, low 300s. Tesla does not need to do that. Okay, there is no rule out there that says Tesla needs to come all the way back down into the 200s. Now, some people are citing like Isaac, Newton's law of gravity, saying what comes up must come down, and that you got to back test and fill the gap. No, you don't. Let me ask you a simple question. Has Apple ever come down to its, decade low levels, right? Has Apple's recent rally, has Apple ever came back to fill the gap at 195? No, it hasn't, at least not anytime lately. Has Apple ever came back to its lows of 2023 at $123 per share? No, and it probably never will. Okay, unless we have some kind of recession or something. What about Nvidia? Has Nvidia come back down to retest the levels that they were at over the last couple of years? No, in fact, Nvidia is almost at a new all-time high today. Has Nvidia ever come back down to $76 like it was at in early 2024? No. Could it? Of course. Has Nvidia ever come back down to $50 per share, levels that it was at in 2023? No, and it probably never will. If it does, then we're probably up Schitt's Creek already, and Nvidia would be the least of our concerns. That would be, of course, if Nvidia fell like 75%. That would be a 66% decline from here. So no, what a lot of people say is wrong. There is no written rule that says Tesla needs to fall at all from here. In fact, I would argue that Tesla's never falling back down to the mid 200s like some people have suggested. If it does, there's obviously some kind of large failure with FSD. There's some kind of large shift in the political spectrum of Elon Musk and Trump's relationship. Much of these things at this point seem unlikely, and or a recession or a spike in inflation again, which these things seem unlikely. So as long as the low probability scenarios do not happen, there is no guarantee that Tesla just magically needs to fall back down into the 200s. Once stocks take off, once Wall Street realizes the opportunity ahead of stocks like Nvidia, like Apple, these stocks usually never go back to where they were previously. And after this kind of rally we've seen with Tesla, we will probably never go back into the 200s. I mean, I'm selfish. I hope we do. I hope I get a chance to buy before things really take off with Robotaxi and all the positive things happen over time for Tesla. But I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think so. I wish it would, but there's a lot of people that are counting on that, it seems like right now. And, when people are thinking even about a stock like a Tesla coming back down to the 200s, it's probably a sign that you're not that optimistic and things are probably going to get a lot better before they get a lot worse. That's my personal opinion. Hey, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But these are reasons why I'm bullish on Tesla here. Why even after the drawdown from the 490 level down to the low 400s, I think you want to be a buyer of this dip. I don't think this is a time to run away from Tesla. And from a technical perspective, to hold this 403 level is really what we want to see. That gets us out of this gap down gap level. If we don't hold this level, you really want to watch this trend line about 488 to 490 or so. You'd want to hold support there. And I do think Tesla will probably bounce back even probably tomorrow. from this drop that we've seen today. So let me know what you guys think about this information down below in the comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.